Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinayane Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunnavadi Paschatto Deshotarine Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihar Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Jashodanandana Jaya Braja Jana Ranjana Jaya Jashodanandana Jaya Braja Jana Ranjana Jaya Jamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Jamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Gurudev, Gurudev, Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Nitai Gaur Haribol 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 Nitai Gaur Haribol. Jai Vishnu Bhad, Namaste Paribrajaka Charya Stutara Satasi Simasula Vai Charnarvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Guru Parampara Ki Jai Arjun Dev Ki Jai Bhagavan Shri Krishna Chandra Ki Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai Samaveta Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Sisi Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, Prabhus and mothers. Welcome to this beautiful session of Bhagavad Gita. So we are on chapter 9. This chapter, it begins with 3 verses that eulogizing the knowledge that Sri Krishna will reveal. Here, Krishna expects Arjuna's undivided attention. First of all, in entire Bhagavad Gita, divided into 3 sections, karma mixed bhakti and jnana mixed bhakti, the last part, and in between 7 chapter to 12 chapter is bhakti pure. And then within 12 chapter, 9 chapter is, so we are on the core of bhakti. So he wants undivided attention from Arjuna. As the knowledge to be revealed is very important. Furthermore, I saw that I noticed Krishna himself is filled with emotion as he begins to speak about that by which he is conquered. Pure devotion. Sridhar Swami, one of our Acharya, commentator, says that Krishna having first taught in the previous two chapters that he is attained through devotion, chapter 7 and 8. Now the how do you say, like in a sandwich, you have a two bread and in the middle is the main protein. So it's like this. Within 6 chapters, this is the middle, the real essence. So Sridhar Swami says that having first taught in the previous two chapters, he attained through devotion alone and by no other means. Now, when he introduced this chapter to Arjuna to expound his own incomprehensible glory, and you can say extraordinary power of devotion. So, wisdom of Krishna imparts in this chapter, Prabhus and others, is explained theoretically in scripture. It is the knowledge of his godhood, and knowing which his devotee, through his application, gradually experiences Krishna's sweetness in love. Now, being the knowledge of pure devotion, it is most confidential. You'll see that word, guya tamam. Guya tara, comparative, then superlative. Amongst the confidential knowledge, there is a gradation. So, gradually, now knowing, in this knowledge of Godhood, knowing which as a devotee through application gradually will experience Krishna's sweetness, madhuri in love, sweetness in love. So being the knowledge of pure devotion, it is most confidential, guyatamam. That's why that word is there, guyatamam. More so than the wisdom of difference between matter and spirit, the realization of Brahman and Paramatma, stressed mostly in the first 6 chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And the culture of devotion mixed with karma, jnana and yoga mentioned in the previous 2 chapters. Now it is the esoteric mystery of divine love that has surfaced here and there throughout the text, and particularly in the previous 2 chapters. This is the essence of the Gita. Here it will be brought out in details, both its philosophical underpinning and practical application. So let's have a little refresh. So far we are on text, we are starting today, 11, 12. We did last week, but we did not discuss the 12 verse. So in this chapter, there are 34 verses. 1 to 3 talk about developing one-pointed bhakti or devotion to God by knowledge about Krishna, the glory, knowledge about Krishna that will lead to pure devotional service. The second section is 4 to 10, which we just passed, Krishna's inconceivable relationship with the material world. And We are going to start today all the way to 19. Those who understand Krishna in various ways. Who are they? Well, 11, 12 talks about impersonalist, mistake Krishna's body to be material. Impersonalists, there are few types, Brahmavadis, Mayavadis, like this. Because they don't focus on the relationship. Relationship without form and name of God or beloved, you can never be in relationship. So they deny the form of God. In other words, they don't want to proceed to the relationship. You cannot have a relationship without name of the person, name of God, and form of God. Just like many people, they do say, oh, we love God. Yeah, God is great. Uh, in Bhagavad Gita says, Krishna has a beautiful form, but they don't pay attention. So what kind of they are glorifying God is? There is no relationship built up. Then 11, 12. So 11, 12 talks about impersonalists mistake Krishna's body to be material. And 13, 14 will talk about Kevala Bhaktas. And 15, three types of. So when we come, we will check it. Now, just to refresh the memory, we discussed last week that in the beginning, Krishna said the most confidential knowledge in both its intellectual and experiential dimension. Now, Krishna said to Arjuna that I will give you this knowledge because you are non-envious. So, Prabhupada's purport and other acharyas' commentary also on this. Sometime a person will ask, I read Bhagavad Gita, but I don't get affected. That means some envious nature. Envious nature. Like jealousy. Well, because there are many types of envy. One is black envy, one is white envy. Black envy, like generally we think envy means when someone has a rightful ownership to possess something, but in your mind, you don't allow it. Why that person has so much money? Why that person has nice car? I deserve. So somebody has a rightful ownership to possess something, but you don't allow in your mind. So that's generally people think jealousy or envy. There is also envy, like when someone knows more than me, but in my mind, I don't like that. I want to be better than that person. That is also envy. I don't like that person to grow bigger or better than me. Even in spiritual life, we're supposed to be non-envious. But it is there, it is found sometimes. I'm just giving in general. We have to be careful. Then Krishna spoke, why is this knowledge so special? You may think, okay, why do I need this knowledge and why it is so special? Then Krishna gave a very wonderful explanation. Raja Vidya Raja Guyam Pavitramidam Uttamam. Beautiful. It is the king of all knowledge. Hey, if you have the king in your side, you don't need any citizens. It is not a president. King means like all power. Anarchy, monarchy is not like a democracy. Big difference. So Krishna says, once you grasp or understand this knowledge, this Bhagavad Gita, then you will have the king of knowledge, then it is also the king of all secrets. And it is, this knowledge is the supreme purifier. That means whatever way you want to purify your consciousness. Consciousness. What is consciousness? I can think, therefore I am. It is consciousness, part of it. Consciousness means what I think, what I am aware, what I am feeling. These are consciousness. So this consciousness is the secret of all secret, the supreme purifier. This Bhagavad Gita. It is directly realized through personal experience. Righteous, joyful, practicable, and imperishable. Means once you have it, it won't go. Once you start applying it, it will go with you forever, eternal. Then Krishna put a question, okay, to receive this knowledge, the most confidential, supreme of all, sounds exciting. But why is non-envious so important in this case? Because the envious are faithless, Prabhus and mothers. You can detect yourself. Well, I'm just like that professor told me once, I'm not a envy Govind to God. Do you have a faith on Bhagavad Gita? No, I don't. Why do I have to have a faith? That means you are envious. God is declaring, this is my message. You say, I don't want to accept it because you are envious of his position. If you are ignorant, that is difference. Ignorance is better than envy. And those who refuse to have faith in this knowledge cannot attain Krishna. They are reborn in this world, which is the path of repeated birth and death. This is text 3. If you look at it, asaddha dhana purusha dharmasasya parantapo aprapamam nivartante mittu samsara bharti. Very, very wonderful. It's scary for an envious person, but it is sublime, very sweet for a faithful person. What is this knowledge, my Lord, that you will be imparting? If you wonder that, it is the knowledge about mysterious relationship with the world. This whole universe is pervaded by me in my unmanifest form, Krishna says. And all beings are abide in me, yet I do not abide in them. It's a little tricky. Now the question may raise that what is the mysterious about this relationship? Because simultaneously all beings, you, me, unlimited soul, don't abide in me. Though they rest in me, they don't burden me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although all beings are sustained by me and are contained within me, I'm not contained in them. I exist beyond them as their source. Then Arjuna was asking, can you please explain this complex relationship with an example? He said, yes. Just like if you contemplate this, a mighty wind within the boundaries of time, at the end of, say, cosmic desolation, all living beings, soul, go to my nature. at the start of the new kalpa, new day, again send them forth. Aren't such cycles of unmanifested and manifestation just the working of nature? Some people put an argument. Hey, nature is doing everything. Why God is, where is God involved here? Then Krishna boldly declared, nature belongs to me. Oh, acting through my material nature, it is I who sends forth the entire multitude of beings again and again. While going through this cycle, manifest and unmanifest states, all living beings, all souls are powerless, being under the power of material nature. Now, if we may think, if you send living beings into this world of suffering, aren't you implicated by karma? Then Krishna boldly declared, nicely, these actions never bind me. You should know that. Why? Because I am seated as a net neutral. Neutral means like a judge. Judge in the court is not partial to plaintiff or defendant. Then he can be judged. So Krishna says, I stay as a neutral. Right now, Krishna is in your heart, but he's neutral. When you become devotee, then he will be partial to help you. It is I who send forth the entire multitude of being again and again. So I am unattached to these actions. I don't cause the suffering of living being. It is the result of their own past karma. Okay, my Lord, if you are neutral, what is your role in the working of material nature? Krishna says very clearly, I am its overseer. The text 10, you can see, Krishna says, I am the overseer. Means right now he knows that we are discussing about him through the Zoom. And who is present, how much attention you giving, how much you believing, he noticed in your heart. Is it very mysterious? Nobody can escape from it. So Krishna says, I am its overseer. Under my supervision, material nature gives rise to all beings, moving and non-moving, within its rules. And then Krishna told to Arjuna, the universe revolves, living beings function within the boundary of material nature and are held accountable by its laws, such as the law of karma. When you are the overseer of material nature, why doesn't everyone understand your divine position? You may think you are the overseer, like a, what do you call, boss or supervisor. Krishna also answered in text 11, which we did last week, because some people are deluded. You know, deluded means overwhelmed, can't figure it out. They despise and deride me when I manifest in a human form. How? Because they don't know my higher nature as the supreme Lord of all that exist. So today's will be text 12. I would like somebody to help me with the reading. So on this text 12, question is, what is their fate? Their hopes, their actions, their knowledge are all futile because their consciousness is misdirected. they end up abiding in fiendish and demoniac nature. So after 12, 13, 14 will go in an interesting way because it's another section of the people, as I mentioned, uh, 13, 12, yeah. 13, 13 to 13, 14, just these two. I'm reading the translation. 13, 14 is like one-pointed devotee. One-pointed is very high class devotee, pure devotee. So we'll discuss that. So let's go to now text 12. Who would like to read?
I would like to. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, go ahead.
Text 12.
Yes.
मोघाशा मोघ कर्माणो मोघ ज्ञान विचेतसः राक्षसीं मासुरीं चैव प्रकृतिं मोहिनीं श्रिताः. हरि बोल.
Yes, translation and purport.
Okay, translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation: those who are thus bewildered are attracted by demonic and atheistic views. In that deluded condition, their hopes for liberation, their fruitive activities, and their culture of knowledge are all defeated. Now, purport. There are many devotees who assume themselves to be in Krishna consciousness and devotional service, but at heart do not accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, as the absolute truth. For them, the fruit of devotional service, going back to Godhead, will never be tasted. Similarly, those who are engaged in fruitive pious activities and who are ultimately hoping to be liberated from this material and entanglement will never be successful either because they deride the supreme personality of Godhead Krishna. In other words, person who mock Krishna are to be understood to be demonic or atheistic. As described in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, such demonic miscreants never surrender to Krishna. Therefore, their mental speculation to arrive at the absolute truth, being them to the false conclusion that the ordinary living entity and Krishna are one and the same. With such a false conviction, they think that the body of any human beings is now simply covered by material nature, and that as soon as one is liberated from this material body, there is no difference between God and himself. This attempt to become one with Krishna will be battle because of delusion. Such atheistic and demonic cultivation of spiritual knowledge is always futile. That is the indication of this verse. For such persons, cultivation of the knowledge in the Vedic literature, like the Vedanta Sutra and the Upanishads, is always baffled. It is a great offense, therefore, to consider Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead, to be an ordinary man. Those who do so are certainly deluded because they cannot understand the eternal form of Krishna. The Brihad Vishnu Smriti clear states, यो वेत्ति भौतिकम देहम कृष्णस्य परमात्मनः स सर्वस्माद् बहिष्कार्यः श्रोतस्मार्थ विधानतः मुखम तस्यावलोक्य who compares the body Krishna to material should be given out from all ritual and activities of Shruti and Simrati, and if one by chance bath in the Ganges to read hymns because they are envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Their destiny is certainly to take birth after birth in the species of atheistic and demonic life. Perpetually, the real knowledge will remain under delusion, and gradually they will regress to the darkest region of the creation. Haribol.
Hmm. Thank you. So in this verse, if you look at overall, Lord explained who derived him, what happens to them. Very interesting. So if you look at his Moghasha, Mogho Karmano. Moghasha. Mogho means waste. You know, the waste management. Waste. Krishna has used Mogha earlier in 316 Bhagavad Gita, where he said, Agayor Indriya Ramo Mogham Partho Sajivati. Those who will not participate in the cycle of Jagna, they will lead a life full of sin. And Mogam Partho Sajivati. If you look at the verse, living only for the satisfaction of the senses, such as a person lives in vain. So Krishna, Lord, is using the word mogha, waste. Failure, Srila Prabhupada used the word baffled. And they are frustrated, deluded, defeated. Mogha asha. So Krishna has mentioned three things here. Asha, karmana, and jnana. All three of them become mogha. So how does this happen? I hope you are getting it. Asha refer here to hopes, asha. What kind of hopes they may have? They may be doing the path of karma and they may be desiring advancement on that path. They will be frustrated in that. Maybe they may be striving on the path of Gyan and hoping of advancement of that. But in both cases, they will be deluded and bewildered. Question comes, why? Because vichetasha, because their consciousness is misdirected. What does that means? Misdirected means they're supposed to go, soul supposed to go towards God, Krishna, but they go opposite, directed away from Krishna towards some imaginary truth beyond Krishna. Last time I discussed about, I don't know how many of you are familiar, when this movie, cinema, film came into this world. Plato, Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, they're important philosopher. Plato actually discovered this. How did he discover? They had a big bonfire, and all the people are gathered around and they are enjoying the bonfire. And fire creates some shadow of the person who is um, surrounding. And they notice the shadow is looking very funny. They move their hand, and they started creating all kinds of stuff. And they say, wow, let's do this again. Let's do this again. And they did it many days. Then they say, I wish we could see ourselves like this. That's how the origin movie industry or film um, came in the head of the people. And then, of course, he started progressing, shooting film and like that. But originally started by the Plato with that. Now you may say, what is wrong in this? Well, imagine if you love a person through the film, not the practical, physical, and you marry the person through the movie, but physically you never met him or her. How would you, I don't know, anyone ever thought? So what we are doing in the material world is like a movie. We are playing, the soul is inside the body. It is not the soul. Soul is experiencing this physical, just like those people are inside the fire, they're moving their hand and they see, big shadow, they like it. And other people say, do it again, I like it, yeah, go like this, go like, it's very entertaining. Then people fall in love with this shadow reflection instead of the real person. This is how the conditioned world is. Because because their consciousness is misdirected, means going away from Krishna to imaginary truth. Just like one person called that another person passed away. How do you know somebody passed away? Well, he's not breathing. So if the soul is gone. Have you seen the soul before when it was in the body? How do you perceive the soul? Yesho anuratma chetusha bodhite, through high intelligence. Soul is not the body. If soul was the body, you would not cremate the body. You would not go into depression crying for the departed soul. But have you seen the soul? You can see the soul through bhakti, by the symptom. Esho anuratma chetusha vidite jasmin prane panchadasam vive. The soul is floating in the body. Right now, inside my body, the Pran Govinda Das, is floating actually. I'm not this body. I'm floating in the air, 5 kinds of air inside the body. And I'm floating on a prana. Prana, apana, vyana, udana, samana. There are 5 types of air. Death means that air carries the soul is out. Soul can go out right now. No, there is demarcation. There is a time period given by Krishna. There is a timer. When the timer is out, Haribol, that person is dead. What do you mean dead? Soul is still there, but you cannot perceive. So it's interesting that Krishna is right in front of them. But instead of looking at Krishna in the battlefield, they turn away and try to see something beyond Krishna. This is called Vichetasha. The word Vichetasha. Krishna is quite strong in continuation of this mentality and says, what happened to such people? Rakshasim, Asurim Chaiva, Prakriti Mohinim Srita. The Mohinim Prakriti, deluded nature, which is Rakshasi and Asuri, which is demoniac, they take shelter of that. I don't know if anybody ever saw it. Some people actually like to just live a demoniac life. Just like there is a one guy, Billy. I asked him, why don't you come to temple? I'll bring you some food. Why not you eat some food? He said, no, no, no. Only meat. I don't eat anything but meat. I said, are you familiar? By the time you buy the meat and put on your mouth, it took so many days. I investigated one time. This guy, the shops are called bonds in California, like Publix in Florida. And so then after discussing with the manager, they said, yeah, by the time the slaughterhouse to the somebody's plate, at least 5 to 7 days minimum. It's not only dead meat, it's just a rotten, but they put a lot of pesticides, so you don't see that. Why they like that kind of food? Because that's how the nature, demonic nature. They take shelter of that. Means they already have a misconception. Because of entertaining their misconception, whatever they practice, they won't get success in that. On the contrary, they also go deeper into illusion. Just like a drug addict or alcoholic. I know a very close guy who used to work for me. He was an alcoholic from Gainesville. And I learned a lot from him that what alcoholic, how it is drawn, and they can't resist sometimes. If they don't have a good association of a better person, they can never give up that addiction. Because addiction, the word addiction is not a like that. It's a impelling after, well, maybe I should take more, maybe I should take, then compelling. Compelling means every time he feels bad, he wants to drink or eat, whatever. And then he go on and on. At one point, this impelling become compelling to irresistible. I can't live without drinking. My life cannot be happy without drinking. They believe it. And when you tell them, hey, I never drink in my life, how come I'm living? You think you cannot live without drinking? But that's what their consciousness, so much entangled. It's just a karmic bondage. That's why they fall into deeper illusion. They eat animal, they become animal. So the bondage comes in two ways. One is to take birth and exhaust bad karma, and other, we get sinful desire. So when this kind of desire comes one after another, what happened? The soul becomes helpless. They're helpless. They're caught away and carried away by misconception and misdirected desires which comes from those misconceptions. So what they do? I mean, practically you can see some of your friend, if you know any karmi, they take shelter of that nature. What kind of nature? Rakshasi and Asuri. Krishna used that word in this verse. So Prabhupada translate Rakshasi, demoniac, and Asurim, atheistic. That's how Prabhupada translated here. So because of this misunderstanding of Krishna, what happened? They suffer. So this verse is clearly referring to Mayavadis. Later on, you will come to 12th chapter where Arjuna asks a question. In response to that, Krishna says, yes, those who worship impersonal. How do you worship impersonal? How do you worship? If someone has no form and name, how do you worship? They create an imagination form. When you look at the deity, do you feel like that also imagination? Then some impersonalism is there in our consciousness. We have to remove that. So Krishna did answer that those who worship their worship like impersonal, they will attain me. What kind of attainment they will get? Klesha adhikatarastesham. Abhyakta asakta chetasam. 12.5. Krishna says about devotional service soon they will come back to me eventually. So essentially the point is Krishna contrasts these two paths. The personal path like we do and impersonal path. But in impersonal path, Brahmavad is not offensive to the absolute truth. Brahmavad is attraction to impersonal manifestation of absolute truth. But here it is not just attraction to the absolute truth in impersonal manifestation. Along with that, there is a, you can say, a derision, there is a minimization, an offense towards the personal aspect of the absolute truth. And that will lead very detrimental result, and people will go deeper and deeper into illusion, and they will suffer there. Now, it's interesting, in the purport, Prabhupada put this beautiful verse. Jo vetti bhaktikam deham krishnasya paramatmanaha sa sarvashamadvahishkarja srutam smarta vidhanataha mukham tashyavalokapi shachalam snanam acharet. Jo vyakti bhaktikam deham means material body. Krishnasya Paramatmana. So that Krishna, who is Paramatma, super soul. So we have a material body. Krishna has a super soul, has a spiritual body. Jo Vetti, those people who think that Bhaktikam Deham, Krishna's body is material. So Sarvasmadat means boycott. So such person should be boycotted, exiled, should be driven away. Srota smarta vidhanata. What does that mean? Means the activity of sruti, sruta, smarta, smriti, and mukham, tashyavalokapi. So such a person should not be allowed to participate in the religious path, religious rituals. But even by chance we see such person, what we should do if we see? Shachalam snanam acharet. One has to bathe in Ganges to purify oneself. Oh, scary. If you see this kind of person, demoniac worship, you should bathe in Ganges to purify yourself. It's funny. So it seems extreme that if such person is having some exception about that, and if the person have different conception, what devotees have, it is that this person is so dangerous that person has to be boycotted and one has to take bath. So what to do? we need to understand the principle over here. The material world is like diseased place. It is like a hospital, Prabhupada says. So when a patient goes to hospital, why they go there? To be cured, to get cured. Different people have different infections. Some person externally might look very healthy, macho guy, but internally might be deadly infection. And if other person comes in contact with that person might get deadly infection. And that infection might be killing. So an ordinary person might understand that infection, but the doctor understand that this person got the infection. Many times, what they do is when the person is having infection, he is quarantined. During COVID, we saw that. You have to be quarantined. Means kept separately from others. Any interaction for food, etc., people should be very careful. So quarantine is required, not because that person is hated or derided, but the point is such person is diseased, should not spread to others. Impersonalists are like that. Some of the impersonalist demoniac nature are like that. So there is a physical disease which are not visible at our eyes, but those with eyes of knowledge can see. They will warn us to protect ourselves. You see in our literature, so much warning. Don't associate with non-believer unless you are capable of giving association to them. If you take their association, your faith also will go down. Faith means, faith going down means demonic nature is coming, not believing the word of God. So impersonalists especially, not the Brahmavadis, but Mayavadis, they are very seriously infected. What kind of disease? Misconception. What is the problem in it? It will destroy your bhakti. It will destroy your devotion to Krishna, destroy your faith. Because if devotee and Bhagavan, God, are one, then there is no meaning to bhakti. So bhakti is choked, choking, choked and killed by the Mayavadis misconception. This is the last snare of illusion, Maya. And for that to happen for the soul is the greatest disaster. To some extent, if someone practice material life and engage in too much sense gratification, that also adversely affects bhakti. But that adverse effect does not mask itself from spiritual. One understand that this is spiritual, this is material. I have given up spiritual, I am now going towards material. A person who understands spiritually or spirituality can understand that material person is a diseased person. If someone cannot chant every day, that's a disease, literary disease. So spiritual person is a healthy person. Materialism is largely like an infection, which is visible to our eyes or perceptive eyes. This person is too much caught up with the wealth, sex, power, etc. He is infected by material infection and will not mistake that person to be spiritually advanced person or spiritually healthy person. But when a person is Mayavadi, offender, externally that person might be quoting verses. Oh, this Prabhu or this Maharaj is saying Shastra, uttering some Sanskrit slokas. And you may be, he's wearing saffron cloth. He may have a beard and turban. I don't know, all kinds of people in India I saw, Mayavadis, different kind of dresses. Even they shave, just like us, we do. So we have to, so there is an infection. Why? Where is the infection? Not outside, how they look, what they do. Internally, that infection. We have to be careful. So the principle here is there is an infection and the infection can come to us. That is why we have to be cautious. If we are going to interact with impersonalists, we have discussed today, most people, they have some kind of impersonal conception, but they may not be Mayavadi. Prabhus, we are not against impersonalists or staying away, but until you detect that they are Mayavadi, you have to be very careful. They can actually destroy your spiritual journey. Suppose, you have an old friend comes to meet, and if he talks some impersonalist concept, what are you going to do? We need to have to do Bahishkar. Bahishkar? Drive away. We don't have to do like that. We don't need. We need not to do Bahishkar. The principle is, if there is the infection, we have to protect ourselves from infection. I hope everybody understands. We're not saying like, oh my God, that is Mayavad guy. Oh, I don't want to see. Not like that. Protect yourself. During COVID, you need to go for shopping. You cannot starve at home. So what did you do? I saw people, devotees even, they had a mask. They put a mask, very covered body. Okay, go for shopping. You have to buy the vegetable to offer Krishna. Similarly, when there is a Mayavadi, you have to have a mask. Of course, on culture level, you can be polite. Srila Prabhupada also, when he met Mayavadis at cultural level, he was polite. There's a beautiful story in Gita Press, Gorakhpur. When Prabhupada went there, they asked him to speak. But they asked, Prabhupada didn't know, the other 7 people to speak. He was number 8 or number 9, I forgot. 8, I think. And total 10 speaker. So one person spoke 2 hours, completely Mayavad. And Gopal Prabhu, he used to live here. He said he was there. And they all saw Prabhupada's face was like not looking good. Because these people are throwing all the garbage philosophy. Then the second person come, and Prabhupada is number 8. After some time. Second person come, he is also throwing all these nonsense impersonal conception about God. Then when the third person came, he started with this. Prabhupada gave a signal to the Western devotees who were there with him. Start Kirtan. All of a sudden, middle of the lecture, the devotee started Kirtan. And Kirtan went so loud, nice, fired up. Prabhupada took over the microphone and started chanting. The whole audience, they all got up and started dancing and chanting. Of course, you have to be careful. Don't do like that unless you are empowered like Prabhupada. Because those words from the Mayavad are infection, like a disease, entering into the ear and they will get infected. Because of his compassionate nature, he could not take it. And he did that. So if we have a philosophical differences, that doesn't mean we have to abandon our culture. By this instruction from scripture, we can understand how grave that misconception is, how serious that disease is. That's my point. So we have to learn to be alert and protect ourselves. I hope everybody understands. That was my point. So the cultural level, how we have to deal with time, place, circumstances. Ultimately, we should not behave in an uncultured manner. Oh, these people are all impersonal Mayavadi. Yeah, we hate them. Let's get out. Not like that. We should see that ultimately Mayavadis are also soul. They belong to Krishna. They need shelter of Krishna. We may not be having adhikar or empowered position to bring them, to reform them, to give Krishna to them. They may give Mayavad to us in return. So we may not be philosophical discussion with them. But culturally, we'll be polite. Another example in Bombay, this Mataji used to live here. She was a baby when Prabhupada went to her grandparents' house in Bombay. And they invited Prabhupada. And it was a beautiful program. Many people came. They are very rich. They had like a big auditorium on the basement. So everybody's sitting there. And there was the owner's guru was a Mayavati. And so he was speaking a little bit, but then they allow Prabhupada to speak. So Prabhupada was very polite culturally. But he was very straightforward. He says, you all follow this Maharaj, and Maharaj has said that we all are same with God. And you know, Maharaj is joking. Actually, no, we are not God. We are children, servant of God. He's just joking. Don't take it seriously what Maharaj says. In front of Maharaj, he's sitting there. Prabhupada was like, laughingly, he is correcting everybody. Maharaj may have said God has no form, but also he worshipped God's form. He's just testing you all. Actually, you should worship Krishna's form. Do not ever doubt God has no form. It is all not true. And that Mayavad Sannasi, he didn't know what to say. He was like because Prabhupada is laughing. He maintained the culture. So politely, but correcting the whole audience. Prabhupada can do that because he was so bold, so powerful. Krishna allowed like that. Mayavad cannot touch pure devotee. When you find a devotee is supposed to, in difficulty, it is not the work of Maya, but it is the work of the Lord, Prabhupada says. So we have to be careful also by his personal internal energy. If you see a devotee going through tough time, it is not that Maya Devi is giving him trouble. Actually, that devotee sometimes has some desire or some dormant, he is not even aware and he doesn't let it go. It's like sometimes dwells in it, in the head, sometimes dwells in it. Then what happened? Krishna created a scenery where he is being embarrassed or humiliated. And then that devotee comes back to Krishna and cry and cry and cry, my Lord. That humility, that humiliation actually produce a genuine humility for that person, for that devotee. And he become very advanced by the mercy of Krishna. We see Pandava's tribulation in so many ways. Lord Ramchandra departure to the forest. His wife, she's a goddess of fortune, being kidnapped by Ravana. Some people put a statement like Krishna's death, he was shot on his foot by the arrow of a hunter. Thakur Haridas being beaten, 22 market. Prabhupada gives this analogy, Lord Jesus Christ being crucified. But we have to understand, these are fact, but these are all act of the Lord, God himself personally. We cannot always understand the intricacies of such incidents. Sometimes they are enacted to build our personhood demon. We should only try to understand everything from the standard of devotional service. And it is stated clearly, many verses. We'll see, even in this chapter, will come end of 30, 31. Very important verse. Talks about this kind of fall down or apparently. So the Lord and his pure devotee are always beyond the range of Maya's action. Even though they appear like action of Maya, we should understand that they are action of Jogo Maya or internal potency of the Lord. So this is beautiful, and we can stop here, 609. Anybody has any takeaway or any further? Haribol Charles. Yes, Prabhu. You have to unmute.
Yeah, I just realized it. Sorry. Krishna is the overseer. That's my takeaway. It's kind of like the Santa Claus song. He knows when you are sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows when you've been bad or good. So be good for goodness sake. And also another takeaway.
Very nice point. That's very nice point, Charles.
And another takeaway is also stay away from people with spiritual infection, because we also may catch the infection.
Yes, yes. Whenever you hear that anybody says, "Oh, we are also God. We are God. We're just covered." You know, this is an infection this guy has. Deadly disease. So you have to have a mask. Thank you, Charles. That was very nice. Yes, Praladananda Prabhu.
Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji. This was a very nice class. 9th chapter is the cream of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yes.
And you know, Moga Sa Moga Karmana Moga Jnana, which is Prasabdev Maharaj also says in Srimad Bhagavatam, Parabhavastava Dabodh Jato Yavan Jigyasatatmata.
Yes.
Pritir Nayavan Mai Vasudevan Namuchita Dehyogena Tavat. So these are the creams and kind of, you know, the real gist of Bhagavad Gita Bhagavan Krishna is giving us in 9th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. I'm so grateful that you are explaining this so nicely, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. That was very nice takeaway. Very nice. Wonderful. Thank you. Anyone else? Mathura Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So
are you scared of the infection?
Is this my brother? His name was Dhananjaya. He was initiated devotee, and he was going to this other teacher.
You are breaking up, Prabhu. Mathura Prabhu. I cannot hear you. Can other hear? him? No.
No,
It's all
no,
breaking.
Prabhu, he's breaking up very badly.
Yeah, you're breaking up, Prabhu. Maybe you can turn off the video, or I don't know how you're going to.
Teaching healing practices, but he was a Mayavad. And so he was actually yeah. That better now?
Oh, much better. Yes.
Okay, good. I just came inside where I could have Wi-Fi. I was outside picking figs. It's fig season.
Ah, that's nice.
So yeah. My brother Dhananjaya, he was an initiated devotee, and he was going to this course where the Mayavad teacher was teaching, but it was he was also teaching healing practices, and he wasn't very educated in the philosophy, and he was debating at first, but then what happened is he got pulled into it and left being a Vaishnav and kind of joined that whole thing. So I am definitely scared of that. I had a question: is this Mayavad's philosophy? Is this fueled behind? Is part of it sex desire coming through, wanting to be Krishna, in that the sense of the sex desire kind of getting intermingled with your spiritual desire? Is that
Karmis and Gyanis, they are not same. You can say subtle, prestige, distinction, adoration. These are subtle form of sex desire and physical. So the karmis, they want to enjoy the material world. But impersonalists mostly are Gyanis. There are two types of people in this world. One type of people, they romanticize the world. Oh, I can enjoy this, nice house in Hawaii, nice car, all kinds of. They romanticize. They don't, even though people are dying, people are getting disease and all this, they don't see it. I mean, they see it, but they overlook. They romanticize the whole world. You know, I'm earning this much money this month. From next year, I'll get more. And next year, I will get more. You know, they always romanticize, like fascinated. Then there is another types of people. Out of frustration or out of disappointment or maybe bad association, that's how it comes. They are demonize the world, not romanticize, but demonize. Ah, this world is crap. Everybody is dying. Forget it. This is horrible place. I should just meditate and get out of this world. And then they get association of, they attract those kind of Mayavad philosophy. I just came to know, you know, Ricardo Prabhu was telling me, because there is a devotee in the South Miami, no, not Miami, near Miami, Fort Lauderdale, in between. And I'm having a program this weekend. There I'm going. So this is, oh, there is a place actually that devotee should come out of there. It's full of it's only Mayavad. There's nothing Hare Krishnas or personalism. It's so dangerous. So we'll see how Krishna. I'm praying to Krishna to help that devotee to come out of there and not. Possible they get attracted because they are very strict. But there is no personal satisfaction ultimately. It's like a destroying the soul, which is not possible, but they will go to a limbo. Just imagine, Prabhu, you are stuck on a wall. You are starving and there is a big plate of prasadam, but you are stuck on a wall with the, you know, nail and everything and you cannot move. But there's a big plate of prasadam in front. It's a torture, isn't it?
Yeah.
You look at 12 chapter, 5 verse number 5. Krishna says, clash of, they suffer. They punish. I don't know how many of you, but in America, there are few Mayavadis. I mean, institution. Like one is Miramar in Florida, that's south. There's a big ashram they have. They punish their senses. No, 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 no. Everything is no, no. And they try to like punish, 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 punish. And then the karmis, sense enjoyer, they just explore opposite to that. So we are not romanticizer or demonizer. We are utilizer.
The reason I was asking that is it's you know, it seems like some of them are even, they believe, you know, we're all God, we're all one, but we don't have to follow any principles. And you know, so there's no karma even, you know, we're all so that was what my brother joined. You know, the guy said he was enlightened, but he was eating meat. And you know, I think having sex with his wife, and there was no principles you're following, but I'm enlightened. And you know, so it maybe there's more of that. That's not the traditional what it was from India, but I think there's that happening in America right now, where we want spirituality, but we want to be able to eat our coffee cake, have sex, and eat whatever we want as well.
It's true. You know, Prabhupada is so merciful. I'll end with this one little pastime. You may like it. When Prabhupada went to San Francisco in 68, and it's interesting, there was a big Mayavadi yogi, and Prabhupada, you know, Golden Gate Ratha Jatra was a very successful, big also. Thousands of people came. And this is like exploring a new thing from India or something. And Western all monks. So it was very beautiful, successful. But there was a big Mayavadi there who did not speak, but he was observing with his followers. But some or other Prabhupada gave a good glance. We don't know what Prabhupada did, pray for him or what. But Prabhupada maintained the culture, you know, have a little glance and smiled at him. He was a big guru already at that time. But this is, we're talking about long time back. But 7, 8 years back, or maybe 9 years back, Radhanath Maharaj, he went to Haridwar in India. And that old man was very old at that time. And seeing Radhanath Maharaj, because Maharaj went there few times before, he remembered how much he got affected by Prabhupada, that he started talking about Prabhupada. Swamiji, he spoke so nice, this man is saying. He established Krishna as a beautiful form. He was talking about like personalism, you know, and then all of a sudden his voice choked. He started crying. And then Swamiji is so wonderful and he's glorifying Prabhupada, and then he went unconscious. So Maharaj says that this is unbelievable, how much Prabhupada affected even to the Mayavadis by his glance, and who knows, Prabhupada definitely prayed for them. And that man cried for Prabhupada, even though he was Mayavadi, but he was appreciating Prabhupada's establishing personalism. Only Krishna knows. Krishna knows. But we should not try unless we are qualified. Because we may get reverse from them. We don't want to take. take that risk unless we are empowered. Krishna allows, we feel strong with devotion, then give them prasadam. You can never disappoint someone with prasadam. Their heart will be clean. And we will pray for you, brother. Hopefully, you will come back as a devotee, Prabhu. Let
Yeah,
us
I
all,
really hope. I hope so.
yeah, let us
Yeah.
all pray right now, chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Let us do, everyone. You can all unmute and let us chant for Mathura Prabhu's brother. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
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 Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama, Hare
Ram
Hare.
Ram.
Hare Hare.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Prahladananda
Prabhu.
Prabhu, you have something more to share?
Yes, Prabhuji. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, Mayavadya Bhasya Sunila Hai Sarvanas. But
Yes.
I understand that if somebody came to Srila Prabhupada's mercy or
Yes.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, and if he is somehow goes to Mayavad or whatever, eventually Nityanand Prabhu will bring him back. Because I heard one episode by Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj that there was one devotee who came and he joined somewhere, I don't know where exactly, but then he went to another juggler who was. Tamal Krishna asked him, "Why did you go there?" So he's teaching how to put coin in one ear and take it out from the other one. So Tamal Krishna Goswami went to Prabhupada and said, that devotee is doing like that. So Prabhupada said, don't worry, Nityanand Prabhu's mercy is unlimited, he will come back. And then Maharaj writes that, he did come back. So,
Yes.
Mathura Das Prabhu's brother, I have no doubt that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will deliver. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, not only the human beings of that Khandvas, I'll deliver all the dogs of that village. So what to say of fortunate soul who have come in contact with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement, let's say Mathura Das Prabhu's brother. So I have complete faith in Nityanand Prabhu's mercy through Sri Prabhupada. So I don't, have any doubt about that. Thank you very much for allowing
Very
me.
nice. Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
You will
Hari
come
Bol.
back and you will become very advanced devotee, lover of Krishna.
That's very true.
Thank you, everyone. Looking forward to see you all next Wednesday. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpotarubhishya
Previously,
kripa
Sindhu,
Patitanam
Hare
Pavanebhyo
Patitanam
Vaishnavebhyo
Bhavani
Namo
Vaishnava
Namo
Namo
Shila